Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, going to talk today about things going on in the world that bear watching, things that are mildly troubling to me, anyway. I will be interested in your comments. I'm sure I'm going to leave stuff out. Um, yeah, so weigh in on what you guys think. In no particular order, I just made a list here. Floods in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, up in there. Evidently, it has really put back the planting of crops, soy and corn, and to a degree, but not a huge degree, I don't think, wheat. But prices are going to go up on those things, maybe significantly. Hay, prices are going to skyrocket on hay. And you may be like, dude, I don't buy any of that stuff. But it goes into everything that you buy at the grocery store. Farmers feed their cattle hay and soy and corn. And so when the price of that skyrockets, the price of your beef skyrockets, and so on and so forth. It's also going to put people out of work. Farmers, by and large, don't get rich. And so they're operating on the margins. A good book that I read back in the early 90s. If you guys remember, and most of you I'm sure don't, we had a thing called the farm crisis in the early 90s. And I believe the way this book starts out is that some renowned reporter, writer, journalist person was looking at the atrociously high rates of suicide amongst American farmers. And he was some kind of award-winning guy. And so because of that, or what made him an award-winning guy, was that he did research. And he went and he talked to some shrinks about people who commit suicide. And they told him in the course of writing about farmer suicide that everyone's under stress, but when people are under extreme stress, 80% of people handle it. They deal with it to varying degrees of success. But about 10% of the people turn that violence inward and commit suicide and become violent. 20% of people become violent, and half of them, 10% of the people, turn it inward and commit suicide, and the other 10%, act out. And so he writes this article, and then he comes back and he revisits his notes, and he said, I wondered where the people who were turning the violence outward were, and I went looking for them, and I dropped snap dab into the middle of the militia movement. And that's kind of what his book is about. But he talks a lot about what farmers have to go through, and it opened my eyes. It's really kind of disgusting. I feel for the farmers. I don't know why they do it. So, food is going to go up, up, up. Been talking about that. Lots of people have lately. It's going to go skyrocketing in price eventually, and then it's going to be unavailable at any price. And so, blah, blah, I'm beating that drum again. But that's one thing I think about these floods and how they're affecting things. There is a couple things going on geographically in Cali. I guess somewhere near the La Brea tar pits, like tar, primordial tar, is oozing up out of the ground on the sidewalks and stuff. And I did a little bit of looking into that, and it's not unheard of. It happens. Tar comes out of the ground there around sidewalk cracks and things like that. Wow, who knew? But I guess this is more than normal, and it has some people concerned and other people poo-pooing it. Just something to kind of, put back there and look at. What's going on with this tar coming up? Another thing in California was they had a series of microquakes that were going moving on the ground, and then they started moving back, which was unexpected, back towards they kind of originated from. And again, you have people, intelligent, educated people on different sides of, it's really nothing, or, there's a big one coming. Everybody knows a big one is coming, to Southern California, right? San Andreas Fault. And it just, I find it interesting that the tar is bubbling out of the ground, and these little microquakes have some people concerned. So that bears watching. staying in that part of the country, our whole illegals coming into the country issue. Look, I used to listen to Dr. Michael Savage, and I hated him. But he had this thing about borders, language, and culture, and he's right. You're not a country if you don't have borders. If anybody can go there, it's not your country. At will, right? We'll just come here and do what we want. It's like ridiculous that we even have this discussion. Of course you have to have borders and border control, and of course people can't just come back and forth. Now in America, United States thereof, we're one country, and so yeah, you can go from Iowa to Nebraska, no problem, because we're a country. But you can't go from U.S. to Canada. You can't do that. And the fact that we have so many people, which we're going to get to, our Congress, and media and just people, regular people, saying, it's inhuman to not let these people go wherever the hell they want to go in your country. It's mind-boggling. We're losing it. We're losing it as a culture. That's crazy. I'm afraid to say that's crazy talk. I guess ICE. I didn't really look into it because it kind of disgusts me. But they've been catching these illegals coming across the border by the boatload, truckload, and they were putting them in holding facilities until they could deal with them. The facilities got inhumane. They were just too crowded, and so they had to start letting people go. And so they just started busing them to different cities all over the place and letting them go. And I guess Trump threatened a while ago to let like a bunch go in South Florida or something. And people said, we'll get a court injunction to stop you. Okay, you'll get a court injunction to stop him from dumping illegals in Miami, but what about, Cedar Vale, Kansas? I ain't got the money to get no injunction. That's just ridiculous. I was just talking to somebody recently. I do not believe, even though the Supreme Court justices disagree with me, I don't believe non-U.S. citizens have protection under our Constitution, should have protection under our Constitution, as do citizens. I think citizens should have constitutional protections. I don't think illegals or even visitors should. You're not an American. You don't have all the protections. Does that mean we're going to, do terrible things to people? No, not necessarily. Depends how you define terrible, I guess. But we just can't be letting people come into our country. But here's the thing. We are. They're coming in by the boatload. And Congress isn't going to do anything about it. The Democrats want them to come in and vote illegally. You're a major part of a system, Congress critter, and you want people to subvert the system. But that's what they want. They want these illegals to come in and vote for Democrats. And the Republicans want them to come in for cheap labor for their business cohorts. It's not going to get better. It's just going to get worse. And we are going to lose the culture that is America that made us the greatest country in the world. We're going to lose it. We're already halfway there. And so my point is, coulda, shoulda, woulda, it ain't coming back. I keep saying that. I'm very pessimistic for the future of our country. I guess they're bringing in, coming across the border is all these people from Ebola-ridden countries. Ebola's kind of flaring up again in Africa. And they're catching all these Africans coming across, and they're not even screening them or detaining them or anything, and they're just letting them come in. You wait till Ebola takes off in L.A. Oh, and my thought process back to dumping. I would. Well, first of all, I wouldn't dump anybody. I would put them on a bus, take them to the border, open the doors, push them back into Mexico, and not let them across. If I had to use bayonets, I would use it. You're not coming in. That's what I would do. I wouldn't drive them anywhere else and dump them. I would just drive them to the border and say, get back across that river, boy. That's what I'd do. But if I was going to dump them, I would dump them in all the sanctuary cities. You want to have a sanctuary city and flaunt the U.S. law? Cool. Have some more. Have some more. So that's what I would do. Ebola. You know, I get upset because I care, and then part of my brain thinks the powers that be, care, and that they're just being stupid and they need to change. They're doing exactly what they want to do. They're trying to destroy the country. They are. Disease is going to come in. Crime is going to be rampant. These people are going to be running around pooping on the street and building huge trash piles with rats and disease and typhus and all this garbage that's going on, so that people beg for the federal government, the state government, the powers that be to come in and solve our problems. Please come take over and tell me what to do. End this misery. Problem, reaction, solution. The Hegelian dialectic. That's exactly what's happening. They're going to just make it so horrible that you welcome the, jackbooted stormtroopers. So there's that. 738 billion deficit. That was on Drudge. That means that's how much the federal government is spending so far, that they don't have money coming in to back it up. It's like you writing a bad check for $738 billion. Our U.S. national debt, meaning money we owe other people, is $2 trillion. We have, 300 million, right? I wrote that down, I thought. Yeah, 320 million-ish American citizens. If you divide 2 trillion by all the American citizens, not the illegals now, that's about $6,000 man, woman, child, infant, grandma, person getting ready to die in 15 minutes. Yeah, that's about $6,000 per person. So a family of 5 is $30,000 that you owe the Chinese. And we're running deficits of, what did I write, 738 billion. And we expect this house of cards to stay afloat? Our political system is broken. It's not going to get better. The Democrats were convinced Hillary was going to win. The Republicans thought that at least Jeb would run against her and then maybe win in 8 years again. And then here comes Trump out of left field and he wins, and they just didn't know how to handle it. And so he was voted in. People voted him in. He's the president. And I can understand if you're from the other party and you have philosophical differences. But we're supposed to be, come on, Joe, wake up, face the smell of coffee. But we're supposed to all be in the same country, and so let's work together and get this thing going. No, but they immediately tried to, come up with these crazy charges on Trump, and now they're all talking impeaching him. For what? Because they don't like the way the election turned out. And here's the thing, that's the Democrats. The Republicans won't do that. When a Democrat wins the next election, the Republicans won't turn around and say, we're going to impeach that person, just because. But they're not any better. Because, see, they all want the socialist, globalist crap to succeed. The Republicans are all Republicans in name only. If you're still caught into that Republican-Democrat thing, have fun. It doesn't matter. They're all leading us down the path to boom, which is coming. The press, right? Totally, it's not a press. They're not reporting anything. All they're trying to do is mold and shape opinion and thought, and they're just disgusting. And YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, and I'm going to get into that a little bit too, but they're all just trying to shut up the voices they don't like and promote the crap they do, and promote this agenda of just LGBTQLMNOP. It's just disgusting, right? It ain't right. And, but again, I can sit here and complain and whine about it. It's not going to make it any better. It's going to get worse from a normal person's perspective, and there is a new normal. Everybody's screaming about robots and AI. Everybody who's kind of smart on this stuff is saying it's dangerous, it's dangerous. It's like the Terminator. They decided our fate in a microsecond. Yeah, you're going to see that stuff get out of control. It's coming. People are going to start downloading their brains into computers and then putting those into robots. You're going to have robots with AI figure out that we are the problem, and all that stuff is coming. It's coming. They're starting to talk a lot more about UFOs again at like official levels. The Navy and the Army and the Air Force and the government. Watch for that to continue and get bigger and more important. And I don't want to delve into that right now, but some of you know what's going on there. China trade war could end up being a hot war. We just told Taiwan we're going to really plus up your military. That ticked off China. Of course it did. China's not ready to fight us yet. We know that, which is why I think we should push them. I think we should give Taiwan nukes. I mean, whatever. Let's start that fight now with China, because China will fight us. China has a plan to fight us. They're just not ready yet. When they're ready, we better watch out. So if the fight's coming, let's start it now. Let's dance. But we won't, because our time is over. Our time is done. This empire is going down. South Africa, I talk about that on YouTube and stuff, and I'm keeping an eye on that. Whites in South Africa are done. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, doesn't matter who said what, why, how, what the history is, whatever. Whites are done, and most of the South Africans are just too pig-headed or stupid to figure it out, and they're going to die needlessly. Many of them badly. And that kind of irritates me, but that's just more of the same. And then South Africa will just go into the pit of despair of non-functionality, and the Chinese will come in and take over. The Chinese are going to take over in Africa, big chunks of it. So that's coming. Norway's been pumping civil defense again lately. Sweden's already done it. Why? They're only worried about one thing, Russia. Why are they worried about Russia? I don't know. They're seeing things that we're not reading about in the paper. Russia's starting to wake up. Russia's figured out we're not their friend. And if we're not their friend and we're constantly going to work against them, well, why don't we try and unseat that horse, that guy from that horse? So that's happening. Privacy? Forget about it, man. You got no privacy. These little devices, these phones are disgusting. I was already hard to get a hold of on my phone. I've been carrying it around even less. I check it even less. They listen to you. They put all your data into the cloud, and into AI is going to start working your data, and the machine is going to know you better than you know yourself. It's going to know where you're going, what you're doing before you do it, who all your friends are, what you think about this, dun, 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 dun. And look, you know, I worked with a guy that he was a nice guy, great guy, kind of a boring guy, Doug. Boring as far as he didn't do like exciting things. And he said to me, "What are you worried about? I don't care if they come in and stick cameras in every room of my house and watch me 24/7. I don't do anything I'm worried about." Now, until they decide they're going to do something that you're like, "Oh, hell no, you're not doing that." And I'm like, "Too bad, we are, and we've already got you." All of this is foretold in the Bible. I just see it's coming to a head, and I don't like dwelling on stuff like I just went over. I notice it, I note it, I think about it, and then I try to move on. And I try and do things that help out me and mine in light of what's going on. Which is everything I always say. Get a tribe. Come out of her, my people. Store food. Grow food. Get yourself trained up in defense. There's a civil war coming in this country. It'll probably be like a 3-sided war. And all the original sides that fight in this thing, none of them will be what's in charge when it's all over. People don't think anymore. They all emote. They're easy to steer. They're easy to set off, point in a direction, and laugh while they run into chaos. That's coming. I'm telling you, you don't want to be a part of it. You don't want to be a part of it. Because whatever side you pick initially to join, yeah, yeah, these guys, yeah, we don't like them, yeah. You're being played. All y'all are being played. You need a tribe. You need to sit it out. You need to take care of yourselves and get ready to deal with what's coming. I don't know what that is, but it won't be this. Do the best you can with what you got, where you're at, but keep your eyes open and realize what's happening all over. Pull your head out of your iPhone. Pull your head out of your laptop, notebook, television, for those of you who still have televisions. Have a look around. Think about what's important in life. In life, what's important? You live, 120 years max. Most of you probably 80-ish years. What's important in that time? It's going to change. It's coming like a freight train. All right, I am interested in your comments, thoughts, opinions. That's not a throwaway line, because you guys give me stuff to think about too. And then I take that, develop it, and usually bring it back here. All right. It was a gloom and doomy kind of thing. I'm not gloomy and doomy, though. I just see it coming. I think acceptance goes a long way to avoiding frustration. Just accept that it's coming. I mean, if somebody, I'm just making something up out of my head right now, but if somebody told me, hey, PJ, come in this direction, I'm looking out 2 sliding glass doors right now. Come in this direction are 4,000 elephants. They're coming. They're eating everything in their path. They're stomping everything down. I wouldn't believe it. Send out the drones, see what's going on. Oh, yeah, there's about 4,000 elephants coming this way. You want me to sit here and complain and whine about it? Or do I need to do something about it? Which is probably flee. Right? Maybe not a great analogy. But my point is, see the problem. Try to understand the problem.